kind of, she just kind of was like, just get them yourself. She's very generous, very easygoing. No. Okay.
Oh yeah, where you got it.
This section's all. Oh, what I want to say about the Quizzy is some of you I noticed have already taken it more than once and got a decent grade. It's not quite what I was hoping for. I'd like you to finish the second round next week. Okay. But you're allowed to do that. You can. That is, again, the best study guide for the test, state test. Okay. Question. Yeah.
When's it due again?
14th.
Are we allowed to do the second one this week?
You are. Some people already did the second one. I'm not going to say that's not allowed, but it's probably not the best practice, but it's okay.
OS or the Ohio State test.
It is the 17th. So
it's
three.
Uh,
Yeah, the math one. We have.
a little more than 2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Today we're supposed to learn about some different ways of representing data and then being able to kind of interpret and understand what's going on. On the online part, they're going to ask you which system is the best for different things, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit. And sometimes I think you can use more than one system, but maybe there's one that's better than the others. Okay, so here's a dot plot. Okay, each of those dots, so we're talking about minutes to eat breakfast. It indicates that it's at a school. Each one of those dots represents what? A person. Okay, so each one of those little dots is like a little person. Okay, so how long should the school give for eating breakfast? I want to make something clear here. This is an opinion question, right? As long as you can kind of argue why. So he says 12. Why do you say 12?
Because I like having minutes to
Okay.
I say 10.
So here's something I want to point out. He said, I like having 12 minutes to eat lunch. First off, it's breakfast. Second of all, we want to reference the data. Okay, so 10. Why 10?
Because it's the mode and it gives you a good amount of time.
So she says 10 because it's the mode, meaning it's the most often that's where kids are finished. Okay, so that's a good argument, right? I'm sorry. Try saying that one more time.
They like the electricity time 11 and 12. Why not just watch it?
Yeah.
Like 11 and 12 minutes though.
Okay, so why 12? Why 12, Parker?
Shut up, Dom.
Parker.
He practically just called me special needs.
Why 12, Parker?
Why 12? Because I like to be about everything.
Okay, I love it because then that would be everyone would have enough time, right? I love all these answers. Okay, so Miss Halloy, what would you say? We're gonna write down the Halloy answer.
My answer?
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably go 10.
10. So she says 10 minutes. Honestly, if you want to give a different answer, that's fine. But we need to say why. Why 10 minutes, Miss Halloy?
Because it's the mode.
Okay.
Yeah.
You copied her.
Sorry, guys.
Okay. How many students do not eat breakfast? 6. How do you know?
Because it's 0 minutes.
Yeah. These are the kids that don't eat breakfast, so that's 6. How many people would be upset if we only allowed 10 minutes for breakfast?
Wait. How do you know they know?
5. How do you know that?
Because there's 5 people that have above 10 minutes.
Good.
It'd be 0 if we gave you 12 minutes.
Wait a minute.
Right.
I have a point here.
Here.
Like,
Go ahead.
this is okay. How do you know they didn't eat breakfast? What they did it in 30 seconds?
I literally just said that.
Yeah, I know.
Well, say 30 seconds.
So, does it say 30 seconds? What does it say? How long did they take to eat breakfast?
0 minutes.
0.
30 seconds.
If I give you 0 minutes, 0 seconds, 0 time, that's no time. I think if I were the principal and I had to decide based on this data, I think I would give 15 minutes.
I agree.
Okay, because I don't want anyone complaining, and I want to make sure. I don't know. Is this just one day we took this data, right? Okay, but if you, it's all about justifying it. Okay, you might even say, you know what, we only have like 5 minutes, so I'm going to do 5 minutes, and I got to encourage these kids to eat faster. Less talking, more eating. Okay, I don't know. Okay, that's a dot. Why do we call this a dot plot? Because of the dots, right? So it's kind of obvious. This is called a histogram.
I love
Okay.
it. I know, my favorite.
Here's something I want to point out about histogram. Each of these bars represents what?
Weight range.
A weight range. Good. So this right here, there are 4 in here. Okay. Tell me the 4 weights of the dogs.
0 through 29, 30 through 59, 60 through 89, 90 through 100, 102.
Okay. Tell me the weights of these 4 dogs.
Oh.
I can't.
You can't. That's my point. I don't know if I have 4 dogs that weigh 28 pounds. I could have a dog that weighs 2 pounds. It's all over. This is a grouping. So here's the big word for this, is that this is groups. Okay, we're grouping them to kind of get a generalization of what's happening. Heartworm medicine comes in over 60 and under 60. How many of each type do we need?
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. 10 for each. Yeah. Because I want to point out 60 pounds, the split is right here for 60 pounds. So we have 4 dogs here, we have 6 dogs here. This is 4, 5, and 1. So that split less than 60 pounds, we need 10. Okay. More than 60 pounds, we need 10 as well. Okay. So we can't tell exact weights, but we have groupings, right? We can see what's going on. An airline only allows dogs weighing less than 100 pounds to fly without extra charge. How many dogs do we know for sure? That's important. How many dogs do we know for sure can fly without an extra charge?
14.
14. So know for sure means that we know. There could be 5 dogs here that are 99 pounds, but we don't know for sure. So here's our split. This is going to be less than 100 over here. Okay. So we have 14 less than 100 for sure. It could be up to 15, but we don't know. Okay. Why do we not know for sure? Yeah. Because it's a range. Tell me more about that.
It's a range, so you can't really predict what weights there are unless you specifically weigh each dog.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna ask a question about number 1.
Sure.
Wouldn't you just add every number together and that would be the answer? Because it says over 60 pounds and under 60 pounds. So that would be like the entire graph, right? At that point, right? Am I confused?
What it's asking is under 60 is these 2 groupings.
Yeah.
So we say, and there are 4 dogs here and 6 dogs there. So 10 total in this grouping. And then count these up. It's 10 total in this grouping.
Oh, so you don't add them together, you just have them separate.
Yeah, and so 10 each implies 10 of under and 10 of over. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay, good. What word do you think I want to put in this of why we don't know for sure? Okay. What is a histogram? What's the key thing to a histogram? They're groups. So what word do you think I want you to use? Groups. Okay. So why do we not know for sure? Because we grouped. What did we group? specifically?
0 to 29.
We're talking about why don't we know for under 100 pounds?
Because we do something less than, 100.
I heard it back. I think because we grouped 90 to 110. Did I make a mistake?
110 or 100?
I'm sorry, 119. I said it wrong, but right. 90 to 119. Because we grouped together. Okay. So we don't know specifically those weights. So in the homework, if it says like, hey, we want to figure out how these groups are, that's a big hint that it's a histogram. If we want to talk about individuals, this is nice, the dot plot, because each one of those dots represents an individual. If I did a dot plot of this, I could answer this better. Okay. Box plots. Weirdest thing about box plots to me, you know, the first time I ever saw a box plot, what grade do you think I was in?
Like 5.
Fifth. First time I ever saw a box plot was my first year teaching.
Oh, what?
Wait, really?
Yeah, never seen them before.
Like after college?
After college.
Oh, that's probably bad.
That's probably bad.
No. You know what that means?
Huh?
So learn it since you never use it.
Weirdest thing in my mind, and I don't know if you care, but there are people that sit down and discuss the state test. And somebody came to the state test and was like, you know what would be really cool to put on the state test? Box plots.
And then you were like, let's go. These are the worst.
And that someone was like, team box plot, and pushed really hard for these questions to be on the state test. Yes.
This is the question I always get wrong.
I think that's the first time I've seen one.
Yeah, is that right? Really?
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what that thing says.
Yeah. So someone advocates for box plots. It gets on the state test, and now guess what happens? We have to learn it, right? Yeah, I mean, McDonald's is hiring. I think you have to be 16 though before you can drop out. That would be your striking, right?
You don't have to be 16 to drop out.
No,
You don't?
No, because there's this girl that they're talking to. What if she dropped out of school and she said 8th grade?
You
And
can't
you can't
legally
just
drop out.
because she got held back until she was 16.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to look into that at a later date. So let's talk about box plots. The main word for box plots. Does anyone know what the main word is? Close. Don't tell me the first part. Quartiles. What word or what do you think of when you hear quartiles? What does that mean? Quarters. What is a quarter? 25%. Let's get a little less chatty, please. So quartiles means 25%. So we're grouping in quartiles. We're saying 25% goes here, 25% there, 25% there. Okay. So here is what we would call the first quartile. Here's the second, third, and then the fourth. Okay. This dot, what does this one dot represent? Yeah. It is not, it could be an outlier, but in this case, it's not totally an outlier.
It's the one that's farthest to the left.
Okay. I'm looking for a specific word.
It's the smallest amount.
Smallest amount. What's a math word we use for min?
Minimum.
It's the minimum. So then what is this right here? Max. Okay. So these are number of eggs laid. So we look at a hen and we go, this hen has laid It doesn't give amount of time, but I assume it's like a day. And this egg or this hen laid 4 eggs or 5 eggs or whatever. Okay. What is this line right here? It's not the mean. The median. What's the difference between the mean and the median? The median's the middle. It's not where you add them up and divide. This one is put them in order. Yeah, and you figure out what number's right in the middle. Okay. So if 6 is kind of the magic number for this, if you have a hen that lays more than 6 eggs, then that means what? It could be healthy. I kind of we'll talk about that in a second. But 6 is kind of like, okay, we expect about 6. Okay, how many eggs per day? How many eggs per hen can we expect on any given day? 6. So 6 is kind of the middle number. Okay, it's kind of like it's what we kind of expect. When should we get worried about the health of a hen based on the number of eggs they laid? Above. Okay, so that's one thing I wanted to point out is that we might be worried if it's laying too many eggs. I don't know much about chickens. Do you know about chickens? Do we worry if they lay too many? No? That's fine? Okay, cool. I would assume if it laid like 25 eggs, I might be like, is it okay? And then we wouldn't fuss? They wouldn't? Okay. It just wouldn't happen. Okay. So maybe if it lays a bunch, then we might start guessing that maybe it moved or something. Okay. When should we be worried about it though? Okay. Okay. I would even argue that we might be worried if it's in the bottom quartile. Less than 3. Okay. So less than 3 because it's in the bottom 25%. Now, I want to point out we're saying when should we worry, not necessarily when do we take it to the vet and you know.
I'm still worried.
I would say above 12.
If I'm worried, I'm taking it.
Well, we have apparently we don't worry about if it lays too much. That doesn't happen. Okay, that's what the doctor told me. How many eggs does the top 25% of hens produce? 8 to 10. Between 8 and 10. Now I don't know what this chart is. Is it saying per day? I think Gwen's implying that they don't lay 10 eggs. This might be a week, maybe.
Yeah.
Was this how many eggs should we expect for any given day? And we said 6.
Yeah, I know. So I guess we're assuming this is per day, but I guess that doesn't make sense. Okay. But in terms of answering these questions based on this data, that's what we'd say. Okay. Frequency. Frequency. Anyone know what frequency means? How often? Good. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Nice. So how often? So if I say my frequency of absences is 1 per week, okay, then that means I'm missing school 1 per week. That's not good. Middle value. The median. It's just another way of saying median. Okay, so that's where you line them up and you pick the two middle, or you pick the middle value. Okay, so if I had 3, 4, 5, the middle value would be 3. Quartiles. 25%. How many quartiles would a box plot have?
4.
It's always going to have 4, right? How could it have 5?
If it's 20%.
It has to
But
be
it's
25.
25.
Right? So if you've ever gone to a sporting event, if you go to a sporting event and they say first quarter, how many quarters are there? 4. If they say first period, how many periods are there?
Unless it's college basketball, you can say that.
There could be 3 or there could be,
More than one.
okay? So that's why sometimes they'll call them periods versus quarters. If it's a quarter, that implies that there's 4. Okay. Outlier. What is an outlier? Yeah.
The weird kid.
Okay.
Like the weird one.
No weird.
Okay.
So that's far out.
It's far out.
Like it's still weird, but
Outlier implies outside of what?
away or beyond.
Okay.
Outside of the norm.
Yeah, guys.
Outside of the norm.
Outside the norm, yeah.
Hey, they're not outliers.
I'm an outlier. I'm called.
You're not special.
You're not.
Is it good to be an outlier?
I mean, it depends.
It could be, right?
You're a healthy outlier. Not really, in my opinion.
We're chatting today.
You're not special. In a good way. Yeah. I'm
So some buzzwords. Again, they're going to give you a set of data and they're going to say which of these is the best model to represent the data. For dot plot, it's the only one where you see what? Individual. Okay. So you see each data value. That's kind of a hint. So if they say something about grouping or quartiles or putting them together, this is not the one. This one shows everybody. Histogram. What do you think is the thing about the histogram? Groups. Okay. They are grouped. How is histogram different than box plot?
It's easier to see wide ranges of data.
Okay. What does box plot do that histogram doesn't? It's they're cut up into quarters, right? It's all about, are you above 50 or you're lower than 50? It's all about quartiles. You also get to see the min and the max, which you don't get in the histogram. You don't know what the lowest or the highest is within the groups. Okay. And then quartiles. I feel like we should write that word on here. Okay. So this is all about the quartiles for box plots. Oh. Okay. Manuel plans to buy a new car with the gas mileage shown. To determine the gas mileage of this, if this car is good, he gathered the data and estimated city driving fuel efficiency in miles per gallon of several other cars. How does the fuel efficiency of the car he wants to buy compare to the fuel efficiency of the other cars he researched? So here's the car he's buying. Okay. I would guess that middle school students, 8th graders, probably don't care too much about miles per gallon. Okay. Okay. When I'm driving with my dad will say, "Wow, look at the price of that gas," and I'm like, "Is it good? Is it bad?" Yeah.
My great grandpa was in the car when we were like driving to the gas station. Stop here, I need to get a bunch of gas. I'm like, oh, he has like 100 tractors.
Okay, so if you're using a lot, then you might pay attention, or if it's just important to you. But anyways, 26. We got to figure out, is 26 miles per gallon good or bad? From your knowledge, is that a good or a bad gas miles per gallon?
Good. Oh wait, no, bad.
No, bad.
Wait, what?
Do you know? Do you have an opinion?
Decent.
Decent. Okay, so let's make a dot plot. That's how they want us to figure this out. So what I got to do is, where there's 25, I'm going to make a dot. Yeah. What we want to do with this dot plot is make all the dots the same size. So what I would not want to do on a dot plot is if I make a dot here and a dot here, then I wouldn't want to make the other dots like this, okay? Because we want them to be about the same size so that I can see which one's more. And if I drew them this way, you might think the left has more than the right, okay? So it's a nice picture. So 25, 45, make a dot there. 26. Yeah. Okay. So over here it says dot plot qualities. Each data value, so we see every single car from this list. Frequency, what did that word frequency mean? How often. We can kind of quickly see, because we didn't do our dots like this, we can kind of see that these ones happen a little bit more often. And then clusters and groups, or clusters and gaps. So we can kind of see that there's a lot here, there's a gap, and there's a gap. Okay. How does the fuel efficiency of each of the car he wants to buy compare to the others? So based on this data, is 26 good or bad? It's good. So far, why don't I like either of those answers? Okay, so this car is going to be here. If you're worried about gas mileage, okay, is that the best car to buy if you're worried about gas mileage? No. Is it close to the best car? No. What do you think is, if you're kind of worried about it, but you like the car, and you're not going to go crazy and buy the best one, but you want a good one, what is a good one that's kind of in the middle? 28. 28 is a little bit more common, right? Or just as common. And if you worry about it, you kind of would lean towards 28, right? If we start to say, here's something that happens, if I start to say, this one is $10,000 more, okay? And this one's $10,000 more. And this one's $10,000 more than that. Then all of a sudden you say, oh, 28's perfect, right? What kind of cars are better with gas mileage but cost more? Corvettes are horrible gas mileage. Horrible. Weird thing about, I heard someone say how many people are in the car. Usually that doesn't affect gas mileage that much. Okay.
Oh, horse carriage.
What type of car gets good gas mileage? No. Vans are bad. Sports cars are bad. Trucks are bad. Gas mileage. Let's just be clear. See, they don't. It's not a question. No, that's not a car. What type of cars get the best gas mileage? Teslas, they don't use gas. So in theory, right? But if you put gas in the car, you have a problem with your Tesla, right? So we're talking about cars that actually take gas. But you're closer. What kind of cars have the best gas mileage? Hybrids. 3, 2, 1. So hybrids, right? Hybrids might give you better gas mileage. Like this right here might even give you better gas mileage, but you're going to pay a lot more for it. Okay. But if you're worried about gas mileage, would you say that 26 is good?
No.
No, I would say it's not good. You would say it's not the worst. It's a little bit better than the worst, right? We want to be closer to 28, 29 if we're worried about that. So how does the fuel efficiency of this car compare to the other ones? How do we answer that question? It is below average. I like that answer. It's not awful. We're talking about 2 miles. It's not totally awful, but it's not great. What might account for the outlier?
45.
Yeah. Why is that there? That's clearly an outlier. Something weird is going on with that car. There was a car made that was so a hybrid has a battery, right? And the battery gets charged when you like slow down and you do other things. But it's either going to run on the gas motor or it's going to run on the electric motor, and it's going to kind of go back and forth. There was a car that they made, and they said, let's make it an electric car, but let's put a motor in it, not to make the car move, but to do what? Charge the batteries. So this could be a car where it's not a hybrid. It's an electric car that has a gas motor in it to charge the batteries if they get low. Okay. What's that?
So pretty much what you're saying, it's gonna rely on its own.
It relies on gas, but
So
gas.
no, you don't put gas. Wait,
You put gas.
you charge it once, and since the battery charges the engine, but then the engine will charge the battery. Is that what you're trying to say?
Kind of. What kind of who has a hybrid? Does anyone have a hybrid that you plug in?
I have a hybrid.
Okay.
We'll just side by side.
Do you know what a plug-in hybrid is?
We have to plug it in to charge the battery.
Where you plug it in and charge the battery. And if you plug it in to charge the battery, when does the gas turn on?
When you're going above a certain speed.
Going above a certain speed, or
When you don't have enough electricity.
when you're out of battery. So in theory, that could be this one, right? So this could be a plug-in hybrid.
I'd like that gas mileage.
What's that?
I said I'd like that gas
I know.
mileage.
All right, we need to move a little quicker, I think. A marketing team is about to launch a campaign for a new product that is targeted at adults for age 25 to 34. The team is researching the age range of the viewers of a certain TV show to decide whether to advertise during the show. The data shows the age of a random sample of 30 viewers of the show. Based on the findings, should the marketing team launch the campaign during the show? The data shows the age of a random sample. Okay. So they randomly called 30 people and they got this information based on the show. Okay. So these are a little trickier to make. What I would recommend is going, so 14, we might want to, and it's a histogram, so they're bars. So we might want to make like the first bar and then cross that out, right? And then 21, I make the first bar 14. Yeah, this range here is between 10 and 14. 20 and 24. The next one's 22, so that would get us up to the 2. 17. Yep. How else would you do it?
I would put like a dot.
A dot. You could do that.
All of them and add them all up.
Yeah, I would go by.
You can do it however you want, right? You could go through and go, how many 0 to 4s do I have? How many? We could do that. How many 0 to 4s do we have? How many 5 to 9s? How many 10 to 14s? I already counted the 1. 2.
Oh, 2. That's it.
That's
I got
it.
2.
Okay. How many 15 to 19s? Already got 1.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
10.
7,
9.
8,
Well, yeah.
9,
10 total.
10.
I got
10. I missed 1. Okay, so 10. How many 20 to 24s? Already got 3.
10.
10?
Yeah.
You like this better than the way I was about to do it? And then how many 25 to 29s? 3, 4, 5.
There's 3.
3, 4. How many 30 to 34s? 4 for this one. I only see 2. Am I right?
I think I got
3.
3.
3.
No,
There's a 30, 32, and 31.
Okay. 35 to 39.
There's 1. There's 1.
Just 1. 40 to 44.
Yeah.
45 to 49.
Yeah.
Okay. Who is this show geared at?
The younger adults.
Young adults. Teenagers, really, I would say 15 to 24. Okay. Who's this person? Right? It's your aunt who really likes, what's a show what's popular right now?
The one who brought the 10-year-old.
Why are you smarter than a 5th grader?
What and honestly, for this show, would you guys watch it?
No.
No. Okay. If you were watching this, your parents would be like, I don't think you should be watching this. Just guessing. Okay. It's geared for a little bit older audience. So, based on the findings, should the team launch their campaign for this particular show? They're trying to hit the range of 25 to 34-year-olds.
That didn't happen.
Should they launch their campaign? So here's how advertisement works. I call up the station and I say, I have this product that's really good that I'm trying to get 25 to 34-year-olds to buy. What kind of thing do you think the 25 to 34-year-old would buy?
Something from 25 to 34-year-old.
How old? You're 20,
Something from
Almost 22.
22. Okay. So older than Miss Holloy, but younger than me. So basically
That's a really wide.
right out of college or a couple years. Huh?
Maybe try and buy coffee.
Coffee?
Yeah.
Okay. Though I think, how many of you guys drink coffee? Okay. So, yeah, right.
Oh my gosh. I love
Kitchen supply.
I do.
I like
I
coffee.
love it better, and if I get married, then I'll be fine.
I'm going to get, just for the sake of time, I'm going to say a brand new car. Okay. Why would a 25 to 34-year-old want to buy a brand new car? They're just out of college. They've had a job for a couple years. They're starting to make a little bit of money. Okay. How many of you are interested in buying a car? Okay. None of you. Brody?
But why are there still people? Why are there people like
Okay. 3, 2, 1. That's a point. So here's the thing. We are selling a new car. This TV show is not related to a car. This is just a popular show. So make a distinction there that we're trying to sell a car. This is just a TV show. Two different things. Okay? So this 10 to 14-year-old, we're not saying they want to buy a car. They're just like watching this show that's a little bit more adult. Does it make sense that we would spend our money with this show, or should we look for a different show? Different show. Why?
Because there's more young adults and there's adults.
Yeah. So we should look for a different show. Because this is for younger adults. Okay. So it's not a bad show. If we're trying to sell something between 15 and 24, it's a great show, right? What age group would be a good match for this product? What age group would be a good match for the product advertised on this show? Explain. Yeah. 15 to 25. So 15 to 25. Why?
Because it has like the most people.
Okay, because it is the most viewed. Okay, so maybe a different product would be good, right? It's a good show, but maybe not for our product.
I say 15 plus.
Say again? 50 plus?
15 plus.
15 plus?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I was watching it.
it depends on the product. There are maybe some products that we would sell that would really hit this target, but then as you get a little bit older, maybe they still use it, right? Okay, good. Last question. Students at a local high school fundraiser. Okay, we're going to run out of time, but this is a box plot. Okay, what do we have to find for the box plot?
Max, min, median.
Okay, the most important thing is, right, the median. And then we have to group them how? 25%. So we have to figure out how many there are here. 24 students. So what are our quartiles going to be? 6. Okay. So we need to figure out the 6 people here. There'll be 6 people in this box. There'll be 6 people in this box. And then there'll be 6 people here. We also need the max and the min. Okay. And then we would answer questions on that. This is kind of an annoying one to do. Okay. And honestly, I think they're all kind of annoying to create. Not necessarily hard, but more tedious. Okay. So make sure you follow all the directions and answer all the questions that are asked on this group quiz for this tomorrow. One thing I want to point out, this is all one set of data. Do not make 4 different box and whisker plots. Okay. This is one set of data. Do not make 2.